molecular entity. So type 1 NDA is a drug product that contains an NME. Type 1 NDA is a drug product that contains an NME. NME क्या है? New molecular entity का short form. So NME is an active ingredient that contains no active moiety that has been previously approved by the agency in an application submitted under Section 505 of the Act, or has been previously marketed as a drug in the US. So a pure enantiomer or racemic mixture is an NME only when neither has been previously approved or marketed. So your NME new molecular entity तब कहलाएगी जब इस क्लासिफिकेशन में तब आएगी जब प्रीवियसली ना तो वो किसी भी ड्रग प्रोडक्ट में अप्रूव की गई हो या यूएस में मार्केट की उसको परमिशन मिली हो. सो दैट इज व्हेन इट फॉल्स अंडर टाइप 1 NME. नाउ द FDA defines NME as a new drug whose active ingredient is a chemical substance that is marketed for the first time in USA. So new molecular entity वो है as a new drug whose active ingredient is a chemical substance that is marketed for the first time in the US, meaning the FDA has not previously approved some of the moieties contained in a drug that has been endorsed. See, a moiety is the chemical term for parts of a molecule that an approved drug may contain substances that have not been approved, also referred to as novel drug. So then they gave some differences regarding NME and NCE. So when a drug containing a new molecular entity is approved, the NME has a NDA classification code. This helps to identify how drug behave and its relationship to other ingredients, and it also provides data record of the clinical data. So the codes are split into two types, with a drug containing one molecular entity being type 1, and if the drug has two or more active ingredients, it's classified as type 1-4. So अगर आपकी ड्रग में न्यू molecular entity है, so that is classified as type 1. But if that new molecular entity is present in a combination form, that it has two or more active ingredients, then it is considered as a combination in type 1 and 4, which will look further. If there is an outcome that demonstrates that the new molecular entity could be harmful, एक possibility आई कि एक अगर ये harmful to health है, तो जो भी ड्रग उसको कंटेन कर रहा है XYZ, okay, for example, a very broad example that नाइट्रोसामाइन की इम्प्योरिटी आ गई, तो जो भी ड्रग में ये पाया जाएगा, that will be temporarily or permanently withdrawn from the market depending on whether the research is present or available, data is present or available. The NME could be delisted. So this is type 1 classification. An NDA for a drug product containing an active moiety that has been marketed as a drug in US but never approved in an application submitted under the Section 505 of the Act would be considered type 7 and not type 1 entity. So what they are trying to say here, कि you might have an active moiety in your drug product or drug substance, but unless and until if it has never been approved in an application, however it has marketed. It's marketed in the US, however it's not approved under this section of 505 of the Act, then also it will not be considered type 1, it will be considered as type 7 classification. An NDA for a drug-drug combination product. Drug-drug combination product containing an active moiety, that is a new molecular entity, in combination with another active moiety that has already been approved by the FDA, would be classified as a new combination containing a NME, and that is type 1 and type 4. So दो active moieties हो सकती है, active moiety A and B. B is already approved and marketed, but A is not. So then also we will consider it under type 1 and 4. Why? Because type 4 talks about combination products, combination of drug-drug combination. An active moiety in a radiopharmaceutical or radioactive drug which has not been approved by the FDA or marketed in US is classified as an NME. So regardless whether it's a radioactive drug or a radiopharmaceutical, it will be considered as a new molecular entity and type 1 classification. In addition, if a change in isotropic form, that is change from 131I to 123I or 12C to 13C results in an active moiety, that has never been approved by the FDA or marketed in the US, the active ingredient is classified as new molecular entity only. Coming on the second type is new active ingredient. So type 2 is for a drug product that contains a new active ingredient but not an enemy. मतलब new molecular entity नहीं है but एक नया active ingredient है. So a new active ingredient include those products whose active moiety has been previously approved or marketed in the US. So that is a new active ingredient. वो products होते हैं जिनकी active moiety पहले approve हो चुकी होती है या market हो चुकी होती है US में, but whose particular ester, salt or non-covalent derivative of the unmodified parent molecule has not been approved by the agency or marketed in US, either alone or as a part of combination product. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल मेरा एक पेरेंट प्रोडक्ट है ए, इसमें जो कि एक नया एपीआई है, ठीक है. इट इज़ अ न्यू एक्टिव, सॉरी नॉट एपीआई बट न्यू एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट है. एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट है बट एनिमी नहीं, मतलब मॉलिकुलर न्यू मॉलिकुलर एंटिटी नहीं है बट इट्स एन एक्टिव न्यू एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट. अब न्यू एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट में कैसे, मतलब कि इसकी जो एक्टिव मोइटी है हो सकता है कि वो प्रीवियसली अप्रूव्ड हो चुकी हो या मार्केट हो चुकी हो यूएस में, बट इस पेरेंट मॉलिक्यूल का एस्टर, सॉल्ट या फिर कोई भी अदर नॉन कोवेलेंट डेरिवेटिव अभी तक ना तो अप्रूव हुआ है और ना ही मार्केट हुआ है, नाइदर एज अलोन और एज अ पार्ट ऑफ कॉम्बिनेशन इन यूएस. सो दिस इज द कंडीशन. Similarly, if any ester, salt or non-covalent derivative has been marketed first, the unmodified parent molecule would also be considered a new active ingredient but not a new molecular entity. The indication for the drug product does not need to be same. Okay, the indication for the drug product does not need to be same as that of the already marketed product containing the same active moiety. So it can be different as well. If the active ingredient is a single enantiomer or racemic mixture containing that enantiomer has been previously approved by the FDA or marketed in US, or if the active ingredient is a racemic mixture containing an enantiomer that has been previously approved by FDA or marketed in US, the NDA will be classified as type 2 only. The next type is new dosage form. Self-explanatory. A type 3 NDA is for a new dosage form of an active ingredient that has been approved or marketed in the US by same or another applicant but in a different dosage form. So I have a manufacturer A who had a product PCM tablet. Now he's launching of the same active ingredient paracetamol, but he's launching a syrup for kids. So this will come under type 3, that it has the in a dosage form of active ingredient that has been already approved and marketed in US by the same or another applicant. So ये product दोनों for example Cipla के हैं, but then आया Novartis for example, and Cipla had his their PCM tablets already approved and market in US, approved और market भी हो रही है, but Novartis ने बोला कि मैं PCM का ही बना रहा हूँ but I'm making a syrup. So then in that case they can go for type 3 NDA. That even though the active ingredient has already been approved and marketed in US, but now some other applicant or same applicant is try to market the same active ingredient but in a different dosage form. The new indication for the drug product does not need to be same as that of already marketed drug product. Once a new dosage form has been approved, an active ingredient, subsequent application for the same dosage form and active ingredient should be classified as type 5. So what they are trying to say here is that the indication for the drug product does not need to be same as that of the already marketed drug product. Now for example, minoxidil tablet by Cipla was launched and marketed in US for blood pressure related issues, but minoxidil syrup was launched by Novartis. They filed their NDA under type 3, but they are trying to solve the hair fall problem by this. So that is what they mean to say here, that your active ingredient containing a different dosage form can be for two different indications. Doesn't mean that it has to be in the same indication only. Even if it is, it will work. Even if it is not, it won't. It's not like it won't work. In either of the cases, the condition is same. It will be in type 3 dosage form only. So that new dosage form has been approved for an active ingredient. अब जो है subsequent application for the same dosage form and active ingredient should be classified as type 5. So now if you want, if some other person comes and says that they want to launch minoxidil syrup having the same dosage form and same ingredient, active ingredient, that is will not be considered under type 3, but that will be considered under type 5, which we'll study in the coming one. Then there is new combination. Type 4 is new combination. So type 4 NDA is for a new drug-drug combination of 2 or more active ingredients. Okay, so new drug-drug means, for example, I have a tablet with what was a Montacel. Okay, and this is a very common example. Everyone might have taken this. So it has levocetirizine and Montelukast. So it has LY because it has levocetirizine and Montelukast. So what? It has two active ingredients. So these type of drug products are known as new drug-drug combination of 2 or more active ingredients are known as, they'll be filed. If suppose Montacel were to be approved and marketed in US, then it would have gone under new combination. I'm giving as a vague example. So an application for a new drug-drug combination product may have more than one classification code if at least one component of the drug combination is an enemy or an active ingredient. The new drug product may be physical or chemical combination of 2 or more active moieties. तो अब इसमें क्या होएगा कि in type 4 type there are few possibilities. First one is that first one is that two drugs में से कोई एक would have an active moiety or NME, new molecular entity, that would not have been approved or marketed in the US, and the second one would be approved and marketed. Or it would be the drug combination that both the drugs had new molecular entities, or that one drug had new molecular entity, one of the combination, and the second one was an active ingredient which was not previously marketed in the US. Or another possibility is that it has an active ingredient that is not marketed or approved there, but it had another ingredient which was already approved and marketed there. So there are many possibilities there, and that is what they're saying, that if it is a drug-drug combination product, there is a possibility that it won't follow just one classification code, that is type 4 code. It will follow, if this is the case where it contains an active enemy, it has a new molecular entity which was not approved, and it has a another entity which was already approved. So this type will be type 1, 4. Okay, new molecular entity and combination product will together be type 1, type 4. If it is a product which had an unapproved, unmarketed active ingredient, and the other one was actually previously approved and marketed, then it will be type 2 and type 4. Why? Because it contains an active ingredient of type 2 type, a new active ingredient, and 4 is for the combination product. So there are more such classification of combination NDAs. So we studied type 1, type 4. We studied type 2, type 4 example. Then there is type 2 and type 3. So it might be that it has, but we're talking about 4 now. Okay, let's see at what 4 and 5 has to say. So it is a new combination, okay, and it is a new formulation or a new manufacture, then also 4 will be used. So this all contains 4 common as NDAs. Now it could be also 3 or 5, that it's a combination product but it's also a new dosage form. So then it will be classified as the combination code type 3 and type 4. Only one is left, that if it's a new active ingredient and it is in a new dosage form, then it's classified under the code type 2 and type 3. I hope I'm making myself clear. So this was about new doses. Yeah. So a new physical combination. A new physical combination may be 2 or more active ingredients combined into a single dosage form, or 2 or more drug products packaged together with a combined labeling. When at least one of the active moieties is classified as enemy, the NDA is classified as type 1, 4 application, what we just studied. When none of the active moieties is an enemy, but at least one is a new active ingredient, the NDA is classified as type 2, type 4 application. An NDA for an active ingredient, that is a chemical combination of 2 or more previously approved or marketed active moieties that are linked by an ester bond, is classified as type 2 and type 4 application if the active moieties have not been previously marketed or approved as a physical combination, and if the physical combination has been previously marketed or approved. However, such a product would no longer be considered a new combination, and the NDA would thus be classified as type 2 type. So this was type 4 combination. Then comes is type 5. that is new formulation or other differences. Example, new indications, new applicant, new manufacturer.